Your mind be free. Depend on me, I'll give you all you need. You come out and
Hello there, everyone. Welcome to Rix Room. This is the premiere show, kickoff show here at IntellectualRadio.com. Really thankful to be a part of the IntellectualRadio.com family with this show, brand new kickoff, a show around conversations about diversity and inclusion and just really overall breaking down stereotypes. So I know we got some things going on in Chicago. We got the Cubs game, I think, going on, right? And I don't know what they're, it is. And I don't really know what's going on, but what we can't have is that. Right, so make sure you silence your phones. Always got to do it. In addition to that,
housekeeping.
right. A couple of housekeeping rules. There will be no cursing on the show. This is a profanity-free zone. But with that said, we're going to have conversations about a lot of different things, a lot of different topics, and conversations that just need to be had, right? And this is a good show tonight that we're going to start off with, and it's really diversity in religion. But before we get started with that show, a couple of things I want to make sure I get a chance to do. The first thing is I want to send a quick thank you, a huge thank you to a couple of people here at IntellectualRadio.com, starting with Mr. Earl, the producer of the show, and Wanda B. I know she's out there listening. She couldn't be with us today, but the station director giving me the opportunity to have this platform and have this show and really pushing me in the direction to do it. You know, Wanda said to me, you know, you give a voice to a community that doesn't really have a voice, and there's a stereotype that's out there that needs to kind of be broken down, if you will. So she kind of pushed me in it, and she said, let's get started on Wednesday. I'm like, wait a minute, I wanted to do November. But all right, let me see what I can do about getting some people. So I had some great friends here that'll be talking with me today in Rix Room and hanging out with me today. And you know, I know some of y'all are just getting off of work and probably just made it to your room. So we invite you to kick back, relax. If you need to, go ahead and pour a drink and kick it with us in Rix Room and hang out. Next up, I do want to thank someone else who gave me the opportunity and kind of put this bug thing kind of started, and that's Talisha Red. Miss Talisha is the host of Sister Girl Radio here on IntellectualRadio.com. You can catch her every other Sunday. I believe at 1 o'clock. I was a guest on her show a couple of times, and she kind of just got this thing started. So it really made a difference for me to have this opportunity and do this. So thanks, Big Red, Miss Talisha. I'm sure you're probably watching. And this show, we got to pay some bills, right? We got to make sure bills get paid, you know, because it's a thing in our community if we don't pay bills. And sometimes I like to let bills go, but this is not one bill that we can let go. Some of y'all know.
This ain't that.
Am I right? Exactly. Some of y'all know my credit just ain't all that. So, but let's make sure we pay this bill. And this show is being sponsored by some of my good friends, almost like family now. Being brought to you by the Cookout on Wheels. Be on the lookout for the Cookout. This food truck's on fire. The Cookout on Wheels serves up home-style deliciousness like slow-smoked pulled pork, 6-cheese mac, award-winning prime ribeye sandwiches, and much, much more. Oh, yeah. You got to check it out. Yes, absolutely. Check out their website for the best food truck in the state, thecoooutonwheels.com, and you can find them on Facebook. The Cookout on Wheels is heading to Austin, Texas for a food truck competition. So root for the hometown hero with the best sweet spicy barbecue sauce and juicy grilled sausage. Want a side of collards and kale before your homemade peach cobbler? The Cookout on Wheels has got you. Yeah, I know y'all. I know it's getting. Exactly. Let me tell you about what they do now, right? It's about to go down to the Throwdown in Austin, so you can show your support by finding the GoFundMe link on the Cookout on Wheels Facebook page. Make sure you check them out and help contribute to the trip down to Austin and give them some support. This truck is on fire. Be on the lookout for the Cookout on Wheels. # friends fed here. Really, really great people. It's a great truck, man, and I've gotten a chance to participate in a lot of what they do and be a part of that of them as they grow. And they're doing a lot of amazing things. So check them out, thecookoutonwheels.com. So today I have the pleasure in kicking off this show some really, really amazing people in my life. And I wanted to invite them to help us kind of talk about this conversation today. So I'm going to let you all kind of introduce yourselves to social media, to the listeners out there, and give us a little background about where you come from and, you know, what's going on today for you. So I'll start with you.
Okay. My name is Lola, and I am from the South Side of Chicago, born and raised. Right now, I am at a government agency working in their fleet department, and I go to West Point Baptist Church.
Come on, West Point.
Holla.
Yeah. Yes, West Point.
And I'm just really excited to be here. Like, I'm so thankful for Rick for inviting me and allowing me to share my opinions, and I'm just happy to be here.
And I appreciate you being here, Miss Lola. Thank you so much.
You're
We're gonna get in our
welcome.
Spanish names a little later on. We got some Spanish names going on. So
Yeah, mi familia.
See. And you, sir.
Okay.
Where
My name
you
is
going with
Corky.
that little shy voice. Did you hear that? Okay. Like,
What?
right.
You gotta ease.
Well, go ahead and ease into it.
Sometimes, you gotta give them a little break. Anyway, my name is Corky Henderson. Name is Healing, as some of you may know who are listening by way of Facebook Live. And I am the CEO of Mind Over Matter Health and Wellness Corporation. And we offer health and wellness services that focus on the total you, mind, body, and spirit, realizing that in this country, we oftentimes focus on the symptoms of ailments that we have in our society, and not realizing that if we focus on the total person, that brings about real change and real healing. And so we at Mind Over Matter keep that in mind with all of our services. We offer esthetician services, means your eyebrows, your facials, your beautification.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
Make it plain and clear, right?
We
Break it all the way
offer
down.
massage therapy. We offer food services such as meal planning, catering, meal services in the home, and mobile as well. And then we also offer healing affirmations. We offer spiritual counseling, and then there's also a book that you can purchase. It's called Mind Over Matter: The Awakening, and it's basically a book that encompasses how we increase consciousness in those three ways: mentally, spiritually, physically, and create the lives that we choose. Mind Over Matter. The website is www.momonline.us. Again, that's www.momonline.us.
Yes.
Can I just say I need to upgrade my resume?
Man,
'Cause
every time I
my
hang out with
intro-
him, like when I was a guest, on Sister Girl Radio, I was the same way. I'm like, I don't even know what to say here. I'm like, hey, I'm Rick.
South side of Chicago.
Right.
We're here.
Wait, but you are on the west side now, or west suburbs. So just make sure that you conduct yourself accordingly.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those of you that are joining us from anywhere outside of Chicago, there is a rift between the south side and the west side, but when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it's all Chicago.
Yes,
And
indeed.
we do enjoy this city. Don't get me wrong. Y'all know how much I love New
Absolutely.
York, but Chicago is home, always will be home. South side, west side, maybe even if you're on the north side, there is no east side. Stop it.
Right.
So welcome again to Rix Room.
Fish live on the east side.
You're right, they do.
In the water.
So welcome again to Rix Room, guys. I'm your host, Mr. Rick. Again, we invite you to kick back, relax, have a conversation with us. If you are probably streaming with us either on YouTube or live here on Facebook, but you can listen live at IntellectualRadio.com, and you can call in and share your opinion. In fact, I'm encouraging a lot of you to call in and share your opinion on the conversations that we have, especially the one today. You can dial in at 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. Go ahead and call in when we get started talking about this, because diversity in religion is something that kind of jumped out at me. And I wanted to bring some friends here to talk to you all about it, because diversity and inclusion is something that we need to be mindful of in the state that we live in, and in the time that we live in. You know, we have a lot of different entities out there that want to, I guess we can call it not shame, but maybe even shame, you know, certain groups, whether it be ethnically or even we call it sexually or whatever preference.
Oh, definitely, yeah,
preferentially or whatever.
Mhm.
And you know, it's definitely opportunity for us to talk about it. So let me ask you guys this. Talk to me about, what is diversity in religion? Like, what does that mean to you when you hear diversity in religion? What is that? What kind of thought does that spawn for you?
So at the onset, when I hear that, the first thing I think of is that there is a lot of separation that exists in religion. so there's the separation that exists between the religions themselves, and then there's separation that exists within further,
Right.
kind of promotes the idea of we are from one another, and then to take it a step further, also kind of promotes the idea that we are separate from one another. And one thing that that I always kind of harp on is that we are all one. My belief is that we are all one. We're all connected,
Right.
And so there's no real separation between myself and you and any of the rest of creation that exists in the universe.
No matter what you are, who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but the diversity. So that's my first thing I think about. But then, if I take it a step further, I think about how certain doctrines are used to create a separation. So, if you are gay, if you don't have the right clothes, you can't. You are not necessarily welcome in this community of faith, whatever it be.
Yeah.
And so,
well, and not to cut you off, but I'm wondering, do we find that more? And if anybody out there happens to be, I know I have a gentleman who I was able to connect with. His name's Muhammad. He's part of the LGBTQ community and Muslim. And I'm interested to get the insight there too. But we also on this panel, we're all Christian, right? So I definitely want to get their perspective. But do you even think that it's with the way that religion is set up, right? Is it even possible to really have, according to what doctrines that are set out there, is it possible to have diversity in religion? Like, is it really a thing that can come to fruition? Lola. Oh, we didn't go through the Spanish names. I forgot Lola and Chulo.
Yes.
And
Ricardo. That's why this is Rix Room. All right.
I think the funny thing is when separation, when a group of people believe in the same thing. I think that's so weird. So like if we're all Christian, and whether I'm black or white, gay or straight, whatever my financial situation is, the fact that we have one common goal, I think it's weird that we would separate from each other when we're like, even in church, when we come together and we're listening to the word and we're coming to, get some inspiration and things like that. And we are coming to worship God and things like that, whatever your religion is. It's weird how we will still have our own cliques or our own little we both believe in this, and we believe God is love, and we believe God loves everybody, but I don't know about you.
Right.
And it's because of something
you don't make
that maybe they don't even have any control over. Maybe it's their skin color. Maybe it's their, like their sexual preference, whatever. So that's what is so weird to me sometimes when I hear people and they're in church and we're believing in the same God, believing in the same word, reading from the same Bible, listening to the same preacher, and nodding our head and shouting, but yet we're still like, I don't want to sit next to him, or no, I love God, but not him. You know what I mean? So it's just, I think it's weird when it gets separate like that, when we are actually supposed to come together and we believe in the same thing. So I don't know. I get confused when people do that.
And you know what? So there it is, right? There's that confusion that comes up because this is what we're supposed to be. This is what this does say, but it comes down to interpretation, right? Okay, so and you bring up a point. I think when you see the separation in religion, right? You have some organizations that believe you can't be a woman and hold a position, right? You in black churches, it's almost kind of shunned if you see someone that's white or that's not of that same ethnicity in church. And Lord knows, and not to put nobody on blast, but we put this on blast because we need to talk about it, right? In a lot of black churches, and I think this is probably what stems from a lot of the maybe why we don't have the acceptance for the LGBTQ community. It sounds like it starts in the church, but I think that's pretty prominent. Like you go to not a lot of black churches, but maybe a lot of black churches. I don't know, for you all that's out there that's continuously going to all different types of churches, let me know if there's a huge church community out there that's inclusive and that understands diversity and that is breaking down the stereotypes of being black, Christian, and accepting versus shunning people away. I mean, you know, is that even still a big thing anymore, or have we moved to a place where most of the Black churches are accepting, or the Jewish faith, or the Muslim faith? You know what I mean?
Well, what I've witnessed happen over the past, I don't know, maybe like 5 to 10 years, is that there is a shift that's taking place in the community of faith, to the degree that I perceived it. So it seems as though people are not okay with church as usual these days, and more people are seeking more and more. Sorry about that. More and more people are seeking truth. Truth in how I live my life, truth in does God really love me as I am, truth in is this community of faith feeding me where I need to be fed, and so with that happening, that shift is causing people to kind of switch communities of faith.
Okay.
And so with that being said, there is, in my experience, a kind of renaissance maybe of churches that
is that going on? Because I'm new to
there's a community of churches that recognize that there are people that don't want church as usual and are erecting churches based on that very premise. There's not, I can't say that there are a whole lot of them in comparison to the others that exist. And there's no disrespect to the others, but I'm just saying.
Go ahead,
right. But there are churches being erected with that mindset of people are not okay with church as usual, and people are tired of being beat up in the places where they go to praise God.
I know one of the things that I've experienced, and actually it's in recent years. I grew up Catholic, so
did I. Did we talk about this?
I don't think so.
Did you go to Catholic schools?
Out.
Right. Look, I had Catholic schools like 12 years there. Shout out to St. Joe's High School and all this graduate class of '99. Just told my age. I'm okay with that though. I'm cool. I'm all right with that.
The thing is, it's like with the Catholic Church and like, growing up in a Catholic church, you just kind of do the sacraments. It's a family thing. You really don't have a choice. You're born into it. It's not really until I was older where I was seeking a little bit more from the church.
Right.
But just recently, I've just noticed that a lot of different things, when we went to actually visit a church recently, it just seemed like they weren't happy with the progression of church.
The Catholics weren't?
Well, no, just period. Just,
okay.
Pentecostal, whatever. Like, right. I just think that I felt the vibe that they weren't very happy with the people that were leading, whether it's women, whether it's homosexuals, whether it's whoever. Like, I felt that vibe at this one particular church that I visited. So it let me know, like, okay, so everybody isn't on board or accepting in a place where you think that anybody should be able to come. And one of the things that my pastor says is like, church is like a hospital. People come because they're seeking for healing. They're seeking for something, so a word to encourage them to go on and things like that. So it would almost be like, I'm sick, I'm going to this hospital, but they're looking at me funny because I'm there because I have cancer, and they're not a cancer hospital. So they don't want to help me at all. Wow, they're kind of like, no, we're not here for you.
So Pastor Dr. Jakes is amazing at how he delivers.
Our second, third, fourth.
If you haven't had a chance to check out West Point Baptist Church, please, by all means, swing by.
3566-72 South Cottage Grove.
Come on, real Baptist. Real Baptist.
But I think that's weird. That's the part, And so when I heard that, and I was just like, but if nothing else accepts you, I think it's weird that church doesn't.
And that's the amazing point for me too. Like I feel like, and this was something that I struggled with a while ago, and a lot of my friends and family. I mean, I had all kinds of names when I was in grammar school, grade school, elementary school, whatever we call it. That that would refer to some type of religious something. Like I was a preacher or a priest or this and that. Like it was always a reference because of how zealous I was. But as I grew up, got an understanding, about who God is and what love is and things of that sort. Just for me, if I'm going to identify in this particular type of belief and faith, then this is what I'm reading. This is what I'm telling you. This is what I'm understanding. I should be able to be accepted in spite of anything, right? In spite of who I love or what I do. And, again, we're communing. Right, exactly. Right. But still having a conversation about, this. And even that, some people might, kind of shun and look away like, oh, no, I can't believe you all don't know.
You can't love God and
right, exactly.
Party.
Right. We didn't even party. We just having a couple of drinks.
God bought the party.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and we want to talk about the water. Why we're not going to do that? Keep the party going.
DL said he kept the party going.
So, for me, when I got to that understanding, it was important for me to find something that I can identify with, right? Because when you grow up, in an environment where religion is prominent, and in a community where religion is prominent, then you want to find a place to identify. And after having, my coming out story is, several different and revisiting and whatever, but I think for me my spiritual life needed to be a place where I could reside in peace, and be comfortable. Right. And I think now, because of the progression that we've gotten to with kids, sorry, not kids, my apologies, millennials. Somebody called me millennial the other day. Like, I am not a millennial. No idea, but we're still that date. I think the beginning date is still kind of fluctuating. Like it's still,
I think we're X, right? Or Y?
Or Zennial. I think it was like Zennial with an X is what it was. It's like the between.
Right before, we're right after the baby boomers.
No, we're not. We're right after Generation Y.
Yeah, then
it's Generation Y.
I think we're X.
Zennials or X, and then
millennials.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, it's too much. So I don't even know who's coming. Who is coming up with this? Is my next question. Like, who is sitting down and rating these generations and giving them names? Because I don't even. What's after millennials? Like, to me, millennials are still going.
I don't know what they're going to come up with.
Millennials are still going. They're still going. Angela, I see you. That's Angelica. That's part of the familia. Angelica, who is commenting on Facebook about her being in Catholic schools. We see you there. And if you have some opinion, please, by all means, like I said, go ahead and jump in the conversation with us. You can call in 708-223-8953 or keep your comments coming here on Facebook Live while we're talking about diversity in religion. I would really like to hear from some of any of our followers or friends who are watching this video who happen to be of something else outside of the Christian faith, because with where the millennials are and where I was getting to, where we've gotten to as a culture, as a society, and this acceptance, I think that even though the other religions, the Muslim religion, the Jewish religion, they're gonna have to catch up. And well, let me ask you all: do you think that religion itself can be successful, continue to be successful, if they don't keep up with the changing times, the people, and where we're going as a society?
Yeah. Well, my thought about that is that with anything, is that change is going to happen. That is a standard that's inevitable. That's the one thing that does not change. It will be changed.
Change stays constant.
Change stays constant. It is going to happen. Right.
And so, with that being said, like that being something that's true in every area of our lives, especially when it comes to our spirituality or our religiosity.
Wait, hold on. Nope. No. I need Google. Is that a thing? Can you hit in there? Who hit in?
Okay, first of all.
Right, exactly. Who does that?
Okay, so first of all, you aren't Pastor Jake, so you can't make up words.
I mean,
you can't get away with that.
I mean,
I feel like that's a word.
What now?
I feel like you said that when it's first.
But now, wait, hold on. I need
He's teaching us wrong.
Religiosity.
Yes.
All right, listen, all y'all, paying attention. Please write that word down. Somebody Google that and make sure you comment on religiosity. I can't even say it.
Please do.
Right.
Is that the osity of religion?
Well,
yeah, but
whatever.
I mean,
all right, sure.
So
This is why we in Rix Room. This is why we in Rix Room here with Mr.
Hey,
Rick and my two guests, Lola and Chulo.
Kicking it hard.
Right. Making up words and whatnot in the room. In the room. This is the upper room today, I guess. It's
Or the lower room.
Well, say that.
Yeah, or the lower.
I can't with these guys.
I know.
So change is a constant in every area of our life, especially when it comes to our communities of faith.
Sure.
And so as far as I believe, is that either you are going to recognize that change is a constant and go with the flow of the change, or choose to remain constant and stagnant. But anything that remains stagnant eventually dies.
Right.
So in order to live, you have to go along with the change and be okay with it.
I mean, that's true for everything, like humanity, right? Humanity had to evolve. Otherwise, if it stayed stagnant, it wouldn't be able to survive.
We would not be here.
Right. We would not be here having this.
So I mean,
Right.
so to that point, in the Islamic faith, it was in the Christian faith, Judaic, whatever. If the mindset is to not understand that the world is changing and people in the world are changing, and the people that are part of your community of faith or your congregation are changing, and to not systems and pieces of the service that speak to that change, then it's kind of like asking for failure.
Yeah.
I guess my thing is, if you are going to have and not include everyone, the community, whoever is seeking and they walk in your doors, then you need to be having a private little service in your basement. Like, to have a whole big huge church sitting on the corner, lights, marquees, come as you are, all this other stuff, and then still make people feel uncomfortable or not welcome. It's an oxymoron. Like, what are we doing? Like,
Right.
if the community, this is another thing. I'm sorry. I'm dropping Jake-isms.
Right.
The whole show.
Shout out to Pastor Dr. Jakes from West Point Missionary Baptist Church.
But he just says some true things. I mean, it's just like the community will let you know what they need. You know, so it's like if the community around you is changing, just like West Point right now, we're in the Bronzeville area. If the community is hungry, if the community is feeling where they can't keep their house, or they're having children that they're not able to take care of, like, if we're sitting right across the street from people and we're not open to help them, have services for them, I just don't understand, how are we not doing the Lord's work if that's what we believe? If we're spewing all this stuff inside the four walls saying we believe we love everyone, we accept everyone, we want to help, Jesus helped everybody. He hung out with the prostitutes and the thieves and the criminals. You know what I mean? It's just like, if we are listening to it, it's like, yeah. And then we go out the door and we're like, I don't know about you. You look shifty, blah, blah, whatever. Like, it's like, how can't the church change as the world is changing, as the community is changing?
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know if I could be part of, I'm not judging anyone else, but I don't know if I could be part of a congregation or a faith family and there were stipulations on who we helped or who we welcomed.
Right.
And I just want to add to what Lola said. Then that goes right directly against what we're calling ourselves as Christians. If we're gonna for the Christian community,
right?
If we're gonna say we're Christ-like, and Christ did the things, Christ helped the Mary Magdalens and the blind man see, and the lepers and the man stealing the taxes and all that. He was that guy. Like, he was like, hey, it's all good. Come on,
right?
Right.
I know you're doing this, that, and the other, but I got you. And so if we are not that, if we don't have that mindset, then the people that we're claiming to be, we are not.
Right.
You in this here? So
You know, I get a little excited.
That lets me know the passion that you have about this, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because again, it's a conversation that needs to be had, right? It is something that we need to bring to the forefront because in reality, I don't think that we've, as a faith community, I don't think, and again, you know, if you happen to be live streaming this and watching this or listening to this, and I definitely encourage you to comment or call in and let us know your thoughts and maybe you have some experiences that are different. But for me, I don't know if we've really evolved as far as we should have or as we should be when it comes to the progressiveness of the community that we're a part of, that we're living in. You know what I mean? For example, we were talking about this very recently. I found that there was a difference in communities between New York and Chicago. So when I lived in Chicago, in New York, you know, I found that there was this openness. There was this not even a second look for anything. It didn't matter who you are, what you are, you know, it didn't matter. You lived your life and nobody really, you know, thought twice about, you know, who you were or that life that you lived. In the Midwest, it's a little different. In Chicago specifically, it's a little different. And I use this example all the time. And I want to share this example for everyone else that's listening, because you're probably going to catch yourself doing this. And when you do, I just want you to remember that it came out on this show. You saw it here first when you catch it.
We coined it.
Right, exactly, right. So it's really, when I came back, when people have a conversation of, let's specifically talk about being gay. When people have a conversation about being gay in Chicago, the conversation would be a conversation at normal vocal ability, vocal level, and then as soon as you get to the word gay, it's a whisper. Or if it has something to do with a reference to a man and his boyfriend. You know what I mean? In public.
It's like, you know.
Right. In fact, somebody asked me the other day, she was like, so you're like, she whispered it. Like, wait, why are we whispering? Right, it's
now, if I'm whispering, you know, it's different, but why are you whispering?
Right, I'm not whispering, so why are you whispering? Exactly. But the funny thing about that was, you know, I had to kind of bring to the realization that, you know, it's not really it's not something that we have to, you know, be quiet about anymore, if you will, to reference that. But I think a lot of that has to do with the Bible Belt that has migrated to the Midwest, right? The Bible Belt that was, you know, in that area. I don't know what that is. I hope it's but you know, the Bible Belt that moved or migrated during that Great Migration up to Chicago kind of has us still in that mindset. And I'm presuming that religion still has a lot of influence.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if we've progressed as far as we should have in the city of Chicago.
No, absolutely.
And this is like the gospel capital of the world, isn't it? Like,
like for music and everything. Like, like I said just a couple of days ago, it just kind of opened my eyes to the fact that there aren't people who feel that everyone should be inclusive and come and be as they are. So you want me to come, but I can't be me. I can't, you know, be myself. So how am I able to receive anything that you're giving me if I have a wall up, or if I'm trying to pretend like I'm something I'm not? How am I actually going to be able to receive the word you're giving me? So that was eye-opening for me, because I just kind of thought maybe we aren't all the way there. Everybody isn't all the way there, but when it was vocalized, I think that's what I was shocked by. Like, you may have those feelings, and that's fine. You know, not everybody is ready for all of that. But
this past,
So I just thought that was weird that it was actually
equity in marriage.
Like it was almost spoken like this is how we believe. I think that might be just what you believe.
Just you.
Yeah. So I think hearing it out loud and in a service, like, I thought that was, you know, because what if those people are there? You know, you don't know
which
your
they
audience.
Which they were.
Hello. Probably more than the other.
We're not gonna put anybody on blast, but
but you know, they had a situation at Apostolic.
Really?
A thing where they weren't really welcoming.
Right.
You know,
well, and you know, I think it goes back to also what Corky said, that it happens that if you don't evolve, if you don't change, you're not going to be able to keep up. If you remain stagnant, you're not going to make it.
Absolutely.
Right. I want to ask you guys a question, because you know, I came across something today that reminded me of another society that we still live in. especially in our America, in Trump's America that we live in.
You mean 46 minus 1?
46 minus 1. Yes, right. And if
him.
some of y'all don't like it, it's fine.
Him.
It's totally okay. It's all right. I will be okay if you don't like it. It's totally all right. However, in where the society that we live in, while we have the progressiveness of the trans community, the LGBTQ community, and all these progressive, diverse groups and ethnicities and lives, we also have this thing called religious freedom, where you can practice your religion, right? In these 50 good states. You can practice your religion in any shape, form, or facet that you see. And I think Indiana kind of led the charge with this. Our recent vice president, who used to be the governor. We have this religious freedom to deny people of being able to even purchase any of the services that community or organization is offering, right? We have this push for religious freedom. What is that doing to our community? What is that doing to our progression? And how do we fight that? Like, what do we do with that? You know what I mean? Like we as a country, we're all about if you this is your religion, you want to practice it, you can practice it. Right. But where is that line that we say when it impacts someone else?
So yeah, that's when I think it draws the line, when it impacts other people negatively.
Right.
Like if whatever you want to believe and things like that, that's fine. But I think when it spills over to a certain group of people and you wish them violence or harm, I think that's when it crosses the line.
Right.
So if you want to do everything you want to do to your own little group, that's fine. But when you go out into the streets and try to put that on a certain group of people, I think that's when it's like, okay,
Yeah.
So
yeah, but I think that's what the original law was originally supposed to be anyway. But we're pushing the boundary now, right? We're kind of pushing where that ends, and how that impacts. And I think that kind of correlates to a topic that we're not talking about here specifically, but should be discussed. That happens because maybe you didn't vote, or you weren't educated about the people that you were voting for. I'm not going to get into politics, but it is very important to know the people that you're voting for, right? And where they are, and not just at the presidential or executive level. I mean, understanding who the candidates are that are in your own community, right? Yeah. Who are putting or who are going to put laws in place that are going to take away from either your lifestyle, right? And what you believe or how you want to act and live your life. But also, that also goes with the religious community. Like those people are, I don't know if they're creating laws for them or not, because there is a separation of church and state, right? Is that still a thing?
Supposed to be.
Right, supposedly. Is that still a thing?
Sometimes it gets a little muddy.
It's a little bit.
That line has been blurred a lot in recent years.
Yeah.
Not maybe not, in a mainstream kind of way, but just recognizing some of the decisions that pastors have made in terms of they want to get on. With various regulations that come about, it's clear that somebody's in your pocket or whatever, whatever the case may be, that caused you to be on the bandwagon of yes, people, two men should not get married. Yes, abortion is whatever, all that kind of stuff, and then. And we say church and state are separate, but then you have. Yeah,
you have state trying to make church decisions.
Right?
Are they still doing that? Like I'm pretty sure, especially in the South. No shade to the South, right? No shade to the South, but some of our good Southern states.
I mean, they recognize. They recognize
because they need to come
power.
on now.
I mean, seriously.
And I know everybody isn't a Steve Harvey fan, but there is one thing that Steve said, and he's just like, communities in the South that are still against us, and we're living there. We're still trying to.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so he's just like, why are you still living in a community that is stuck back in the ages of where you didn't have a right to vote, where you couldn't drink out the same fountain? Like, these people still believe that, and I'm honestly, I really feel like that's why that Trump got elected, because it was this quiet majority that never voted, and probably the last 6 or 7 elections
Mm-hmm.
that just was like, oh, well, whatever it is, they went with the flow. But for some reason, they found a voice with this man,
Mm-hmm.
and they surprised us all. I just feel like, I don't know if we ignored them. This, you know, the rural areas,
Mhm.
they don't believe. Like I tell people all the time, the rest of Illinois doesn't like Chicago.
I know, and right.
They don't. The central and southern tips of Illinois
Because that's all red.
do not
That's
do not
all red.
believe what we believe. Like they're not inclusive like that. So it's almost like person get elected because the rest of them
Mhm.
wasn't progressive like Chicago is. Well, I mean, Chicago has its communities, so
Right.
there's very rare that there's many communities that are mixed.
Right.
You know, Beverly is really good with that, but
I see how you just shouted out your community. That was
I
cool.
did.
Yeah, that was cute.
I
That was
did.
cute. I would say Maywood, but
you know,
we're
but we
pretty
have
like
a Chinatown, we have Little
there's
Italy,
like
we
one,
have
two ethnicities in Maywood now, but
Pilsen. You know what I mean? We have different
we
areas
have communities,
that,
but it's still
Right.
kind of segregated though. Chicago.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very much.
super
Yeah,
segregated.
super segregated.
Like there's very little communities that are like mixed like that. But right,
still progressive
exactly.
and still blue. Like it's pretty much Chicago and even I think some of Springfield that creates that blue for Illinois. You know, if it wasn't for, you know,
But
these
we red
communities,
now. Now,
I don't understand what you mean.
Runner.
Well, I mean the governor, yeah, but I mean as
but
far
who
as
elected
voting,
him?
again, you're right with the who put him in office.
So I think we were thinking, okay, Chicago's gonna hold it down for the Dems, but that's not true.
And then
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It just seems like lately, since Obama, it just seems like this quiet majority that I don't know if we hid or we wanted to pretend didn't exist or we were hoping it didn't exist.
Yeah.
These people are speaking out. That's why they're having rallies in Charlottesville.
Mm-hmm.
You know, things like that. Like now they feel like they have a voice.
Right.
They've never done like anything like that in recent years where they
No.
felt the confidence to go out in the streets and say how they felt. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't seen that since
I like
black
that.
and white TV.
so I think that, and
Did you
just
see black and white TV? Was that an era for you?
I look at the History Channel and they are in black and white when they are going down the streets.
and it's funny you bring up a really good point. Like, and I've had conversations with friends of mine who are kind of deep into politics about how Obama's election, the first election, let alone the second election, has really kind of caused there to be a depolarization of I don't want to say blacks and whites, but just people who believe that the world should be this way or the world should be that way.
Right.
And so those people that were kind of on the fence or didn't really say anything or kind of, you know, as you say, in the rural areas that didn't vote a lot, were like, oh, they never believed that we would have a black man as a president.
Absolutely.
And so we've gotten here.
What happened here?
How did that happen? We get here?
But you know what?
So,
But it's funny. But the flip side of that is people asking the same that same question to themselves now. How did we get here?
Right.
How did we get here?
And that's the thing. But that's that mindset of, okay, Obama got in office. Oh, we need to do something about that. We've never voted in life, but we need to make sure that this don't happen again.
Right.
So with anything polar opposite of that, I'm going to go for it, regardless of how crazy it seems or how ridiculous it is.
Right.
I'm going to go for it, and I'm on the bandwagon for it. And that's how we end up with a 46 minus 1.
But you know what? I think also the
the
election of Barack Obama, I think, gave people a sense that we were going in the right direction.
Correct.
As far as being more progressive and being inclusive.
Yeah.
So here comes a woman. They're like, okay, this is the direction we need to go in. There are women in politics, women in power. Women have gotten their degrees. They're becoming the breadwinners and things like that. So I think parts of the world thought that, well, after a black man got elected, definitely it can open doors for a woman or Hispanic or whatever.
Right.
So I think we were comfortable and thinking like, Hillary got this. This is where we're going. That we we have a black man as a president, so why not? And Hillary's all her life this is her life. This is what she's done. So it was a no-brainer, and I think people were shocked because they were thinking that this is how the world was.
Yeah.
And then here comes this group of people who were like,
No,
y'all think
we
it
ain't
is.
there yet.
Right.
and this ain't that.
Exactly. So okay,
This
well,
ain't that.
so that also lets you know that men still, in whatever capacity, still are trumped over women.
Hashtag pun intended.
Definitely a pun
Great pun.
intended.
Great pun.
But yeah, like I feel like that's why we were kind of all shocked, like, because even her own kind, white women, did not vote for her.
I know. Yeah, right. And that was I think that was an eye-opening experience for the entire country. Right.
So that lets you know, like, no, they weren't there. We thought they were, they're not.
And it's funny that when we talk about politics, right? Politics and religion kind of go hand in hand, even though they're supposed to be separate, because both of them are lines of division. At least from my perspective, like, it's always been for me that religion is this line of division. You are segregating yourself from another belief or faith,
Right.
because this is the community in which you are associated with. Very similar in politics. And again, they say that one thing that you don't discuss is after drinking is politics and religion. But we got both of them here in Rix Room today, so we're talking about it today.
That's how we roll.
And
it's good.
amazingly enough, we can sit here and talk about it and it be okay. Wow.
Absolutely.
But don't y'all try that at home. Okay? Please don't try that at home, because if you try that at home, it might not turn out well for you or your friends.
Right.
And Lord knows what might happen there. Y'all might not be friends no more. You're calling the police, so we don't want that to happen.
That's so true. Like, you can't really have it's really hard to have these hot topics and mixed company.
Right.
There are people that, like you said, aren't really ready for the actual experience, like, just thrown at them in a place of worship.
Right.
And that's fine. I feel like there should be still a tolerance, though.
Right.
So maybe you don't believe that you're ready there yet, but to exclude people, I know, right?
Tell Alfredo.
Blowing up.
We're talking about Alfredo.
Right.
Exclude people because
Shout out,
of your
Alfredo.
beliefs.
I see you.
That's not. There
Right.
still should be some type of tolerance or whatever to say, okay, I'm not there, but I'm not going to make them feel uncomfortable. I'm not going to, say they can't be here or things like that. So
Right.
not when not when you're worshiping in the same house and worshiping the same God and listening to the same preacher. You're supposed to practice what you.
Both of them. Listen, Alfredo and Helica. Both of y'all, all up in the conversation. Call in. That's what y'all do. We got some time left. Y'all call in. 708-223-8953. Also listen live at IntellectualRadio.com. So, I think one of the things that you bring up is key when you're in that same house, when you're in that same place of worship, and no matter what the religion is or what have you, you want to be comfortable, right? I remember being in an environment where I'm still figuring out my sexuality, and I'm still trying to figure out what's right, and being so condemned for the feelings and emotions that I had, and trying to navigate through that, especially for people for me at that point, it was my teenage years going into my young adulthood. But I think I do think there's a difference in where we are now with the youth, the people that are in the teenagers now. They're different. They don't have to deal with those same hangups. I think, I'm hoping, so that they don't have to deal with that same turmoil. They don't have to deal with that same hangup or that feeling of self-worthlessness. Is that a thing? Can we all that together? Self-worthlessness. Yes, right. Again, we need some Googlers out there. If you happen to be watching here, just go ahead and Google that for me. Make sure. One of the things I want to sidetrack real quick. I really enjoy having Lola on the show, because Lola has been efficient with answering and responding to messages on this Facebook Live feed. Like, I couldn't do it when I was a guest.
Like it ain't nothing.
She answered questions and then going right on the live feed. You know what I mean? Like that's I love.
Feel welcome and inclusive.
Yes, and inclusive. Right. Thank you. Do we have exactly? We'll call in.
We have no discriminations up here
none
on the show. So,
and to that point, like, I think that one thing about being members of West Point Missionary Baptist Church, where the pastor is L. Bernard Jakes.
Are we gonna do this? Leave me alone. All right. It's still got some time. We only have 20%.
But I think that
That's the
being
20% one.
being members of that church, I think that we've certainly become spoiled. Is he certainly is all about inclusivity and diversity, and a welcoming place for all. And so when we go to places, either other churches or other places in the world, and we see where that's not the mindset, it's like, really? I mean, it's 2017. Y'all not there yet?
Right.
What happened? And so it's just a reminder that we still have a long way to go,
right,
in terms of getting there, in terms of raising our consciousness, understanding we are much more alike than we are
absolutely
different. And
I think we get kind of spoiled in our little bubble, because we're thinking when we go to worship and we're hearing certain words and things like that, and then when we go somewhere else, we're like thinking like, oh, everybody's
right,
and it's like, oh. No, it's not.
So not hardly, actually. Right.
So, that's
and I honestly have to say, after my visit and exposure to West Point, and now my relationship with West Point, I'm so glad I'm a part of there.
Come through relationship.
I'm serious, but I am the focus on not just inclusiveness, but social justice, social interaction, getting that information out there and being part of that community was mind-blowing to see, because that really kind of showed me that there has been some progression in the faith and church community.
Definitely.
Listen, we're going to be wrapping up here soon. So what I want to do real quick is one more time, make sure that everybody knows this show was brought to you in part by the Cookout on Wheels. Make sure you check them out, thecoooutonwheels.com. Find them on Facebook. And make sure you show your support for Austin this weekend. But there's also
maybe I won't be checking
next weekend.
But find them on Facebook. Go to the website. You can always request them and have them at your events. So weddings are a new thing now. Having a food truck at weddings, it's a new thing.
Yeah, like the last hour or so.
Right. Or even just you're right. Exactly. Yeah. But the CookoutOnWheels.com. Find them on Facebook. Heading down to Austin, Texas to compete in the throwdown competition in Austin, Texas. Best of luck. We'll be down there kind of kicking it and hanging out. So if you're in the Austin area, Houston area, I got some family down in Houston. Yes, Dad, Uncle Wayne, that's for you all. Come on over. Oh, and Tans. Come on over to Austin, Texas, and check out the Cookout on Wheels while they're down there. And also, I got to give one more last thanks to someone very special who was able to kind of help me promote this show and make me feel good about the kickoff for this show. Brought some flowers and champagne over. You know who you are. I'm gonna get you for that later, but I appreciate it. It's a wonderful thing. If you guys want to do a real quick wrap up.
Oh yeah, thank you for joining us. Definitely watch it over and over again. I think it was a great conversation. We definitely need to have part 2.
We definitely do,
because I think there's some things we didn't touch on that
we can.
Yeah. It's time to get dirty.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Definitely thank you for joining us and for your comments, for your attention. And just piggyback, this is definitely the beginning of an ongoing conversation that needs to not happen only here, but in your individual sects and homes.
Definitely.
Because this is something that
It's time.
we can raise as a people.
It's time to talk about the pink elephant.
We gotta move.
It is. Well, we appreciate you hanging out with us in Rix Room. I'm your host, Mr. Rick. Come back and check us out. A week from Wednesday, November 1st, will be the next show. We'll be talking about some more diversity and inclusiveness. Stay tuned for Dana, being Dana. She's up next, having the room here and making sure that her show is about. I believe they have a good show for you to take care of, to check out too, with some interesting fun facts. So stay tuned for Dana, being Dane. This is your host, Mr. Rick. Thanks for joining us at Rix Room, IntellectualRadio.com, YouTube, Facebook, all that.
Cause I truly do feel for my brother. And since they lied to my brother, I'll teach the truth to my brother. And I'll do for my brother. To call it truth with my brother. Truth, peace, love, brotherly, trust, coexist. We can live